What's up, Steelers Nation? You know we are all about chasing excellence here in Pittsburgh. Every snap, every play, every season. And right now, the black and gold are working harder than ever to fine-tune every detail before the 2025 regular season kicks off. We've got fresh faces, big names, bold moves, and yeah, some drama brewing behind the scenes. If you love seeing your team push to be the very best, go ahead and smash that like button right now. It really helps us keep this channel growing and keeps you in the loop with everything Steelers. All right, buckle up, because today we're diving into a story that's equal parts exciting and nerve-wracking. Mike Tomlin sending a not-so-subtle message to his coaching staff. Cam Hayward's contract standoff heating up, and some potential moves at wide receiver. That could change the look of our offense before Week 1. So let's start with this head coach, Mike Tomlin. The man is as steady as they come, never one to get carried away in the preseason. But this year, he's been surprisingly vocal about just how good this defense can be. We're talking future Hall of Famer Jalen Ramsey in the secondary, Darius Slay locking down the other side, and an impressive rookie class with Derek Harmon, Yahya Black, and Jack Sawyer adding fresh energy to the mix. And when former NFL GM Doug Whaley went on 93.7 The Fan this week, he pointed out something that every coach in that building probably felt. When Tomlin talks like this, he's not just hyping up the raw stories, putting the coaching staff on notice. Whaley put it bluntly, "We got the talent. Now it's up to us to make sure this defense reaches the levels we think it can." Translation: if this defense doesn't dominate, there's no blaming the roster. It's on the coaching. Defensive coordinator Terrell Austin, linebackers coach, DB coach, they all know the spotlight is about to be very bright this year. And honestly, Tomlin isn't wrong to set that tone. When you've got Joey Porter Jr. ready to take the next step, Patrick Queen coming over from Baltimore looking to get back to his all-pro form, and young studs like Peyton Wilson and Keanu Benton developing the margin for excuses is basically 0. Now, speaking of no excuses, we've got to talk about Cam Hayward. The heart and soul of this defense for over a decade is currently in what's known as a hold-in. He's showing up. But he's not practicing while he and the front office are locked in a contract dispute. And here's the thing. Hayward isn't just asking for respect because of what he's done in the past. He's coming off an all-pro season at age 35. That's insane production for a defensive lineman at that stage of a career. And according to Cam, the deal he signed last year came with an understanding. If he delivered another elite season, they'd revisit his contract. Well, he delivered, and now the Steelers don't seem eager to pay up. Hayward says he's open to sitting out regular season games, if that's what it takes. And let's be real, losing Cam for even a couple games would be a huge blow, not just for his play on the field, but for the leadership he brings in that locker room. The timing makes this tricky. We're less than a month from Week 1. The defense is loaded with new pieces, and the team needs its veteran captain out there setting the tone. This is one story we'll be keeping a very close eye on. Let's shift over to the offense for a second, because there's another situation brewing, according to Steelers insider Mark Kaboly. The team might be adding a wide receiver within the next 10 to 12 days. That's not just speculation. That's a pretty clear signal that the front office sees a gap that needs to be filled. We all know the headline move this offseason was bringing in DK Metcalf as the new WR1. But after trading George Pickens to Dallas, the depth chart gets a little shaky. You've got Calvin Austin, 3 in the slot, though he's dealing with a minor abdominal injury and already missed significant camp time, and second-year man Roman Wilson, who flashed in the preseason opener but still has a lot to prove. Sure. Robert Woods is in the mix, but at 33 and coming off a 203-yard season in Houston, it's hard to bank on him as a game-changer. And while Jonnu Smith could help as a pass-catching tight end, the truth is, this team could really use another reliable outside threat to keep defenses honest. .ca, BOLY, hinted that roster cutdown day on August 26th could open up some intriguing options, with veteran receivers hitting the market. But if a trade opportunity comes along before then, don't be shocked if Omar Khan pulls the trigger. Of course, all of this, the coaching expectations, Hayward's contract, the wide receiver depth, ties back to one guy, Aaron Rodgers. At 41 years old, the future Hall of Famer is here to win now. The front office built this roster with that exact mindset. Rodgers needs reliable weapons, a defense that gives him short fields, and special teams that don't lose games. If any one of those areas falters, it could be the difference between making a deep playoff run and watching January. Football from home, the defense is poised to be elite, but that only works if the offense can avoid putting them in bad situations. No more slow starts, no more turnovers at midfield. Rodgers knows this, Tomlin knows this, and so do the guys in that locker room. Now let's talk about Jalen Ramsey. Yeah, that Jalen Ramsey, the guy who's been an All-Pro, a Super Bowl champion, and now a Pittsburgh Steeler. And let me tell you, he's not just happy to be here, he's absolutely thriving here. This week, Ramsey sat down with the Pivot podcast and opened up in a way we rarely hear from NFL superstars. He didn't drop names, but it doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out he was talking about his former team, the Miami Dolphins. And let's just say, the love he's showing for Pittsburgh is in direct contrast to the meh feelings he had about his old situation. Remember, this trade was a blockbuster. Ramsey comes to the Steelers. Minkah Fitzpatrick heads back to Miami. Big moves like that don't happen unless both sides are on board. But here's the thing. Ramsey made it clear that he wanted this. He wanted Pittsburgh, and not for the money, not for the weather, not for the nightlife, but for the culture, the respect, and the chance to compete for championships. In his own words, let's go to a team that's going to be able to compete, where there's a lot of respect for the head coach and the staff, and a place I can continue to play at a high level, and maybe be versatile. Read between the lines, Steelers Nation. That's a subtle but pointed message about where he came from. Without ever saying Mike McDaniel or Dolphins, Ramsey basically said, I wanted a place with a real football culture. And in his eyes, that's Pittsburgh. He even praised the Dolphins front office for working with him and his agent, David Maluda, to make sure he landed somewhere he actually wanted to be. No, you're going here. Deal with it approach, just open communication. But here's the part that really made my terrible towel spin. Ramsey openly wondered what his NFL career might have been like if the Steelers had drafted him way back in 2016. Imagine that, Ramsey in black and gold from day one. My focus may have been a little bit different at times. I may have been here my whole career. This is like a place where I feel like, 1, they take care of their own. I truly believe that they take care of their own. 2 guys really want to be here. That's huge. He's not just talking about being happy now. He's saying this is the kind of franchise you build your entire career around, and here's where it gets even more exciting. Mike Tomlin isn't just slotting Ramsey in at cornerback and calling it a day. No. Tomlin has been singing Ramsey's praises, talking about his versatility and the different ways he can be deployed in this defense. Former Steelers safety Ryan Clark took it even further, saying this defense could use Ramsey in 4 or 5 different positions in a single game. Think about that. One week he's locking down the other team's WR1, the next he's playing nickel. The next he's dropping deep like a safety and maybe even lining up in the box like a hybrid linebacker. That's not just depth, that's game-changing versatility. And it's exactly the kind of chess piece you need if you're going to slow down the elite offenses in today's NFL. Ramsey knows it too. He's 30 years old now, and while some players his age are already starting to fade, he's still playing at a high level and sees Pittsburgh as the perfect place to extend his prime. Why? Because here, he's in a system and a culture that values what he brings, both on the field and in the locker room. And let's be honest, Pittsburgh needed this kind of boost in the secondary. Losing Minkah Fitzpatrick wasn't easy. That's a Pro Bowl safety, a fan favorite, and a guy who made big plays in big moments. But in Ramsey, the Steelers didn't just get a replacement, they got a whole different weapon. It's like trading in a precision scalpel for a Swiss Army knife. He can cut, he can pry, he can slice, and he can screw with the other team's game plan in a dozen different ways. There's also a bigger picture here. Ramsey's arrival and his immediate love for the culture sends a message to the rest of the league. The Steelers are not just a team with tradition, they're a destination. Players want to be here. Veterans see this as a place where the front office takes care of their own, where the coach has respect from every corner of the locker room, and where you have a real shot at winning that matters. In free agency, in trades, in recruiting the next wave of talent, it matters. So where does that leave us heading into the season? Well, If you're an opposing quarterback in the AFC North, you might want to start sleeping with one eye open. Because between Joey Porter Jr. locking up one side and Ramsey roaming wherever Tomlin wants him, Pittsburgh suddenly has a secondary that can match up with anybody, and if Ryan Clark's vision comes true, Ramsey moving around, disguising coverages, confusing QBs, we could be talking about the Steelers' most dangerous defensive backfield in over a decade. So, Steelers Nation, here's where I want to hear from you. Do you think Tomlin's public praise of the defense was a rallying cry or a warning shot to his coaches? Should the front office meet Cam Hayward's demands or hold firm given his age and contract status? And finally, what's your take on the wide receiver situation? Should we go after a proven vet before week 1 or roll with the guys we've got? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and I know the debates in this fan base can get heated. If you enjoyed this breakdown and you want to stay locked in with every piece of Steelers news from practice field, updates to trade rumors, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss a single update. This season is shaping up to be one of the most fascinating in recent Steelers history, and you're going to want to be here for every twist and turn. All right, that's all for now. I'll see you in the next one. Here we go, Steelers.